Hi everyone, welcome to the channel dedicated to sharing the profound insights and wisdom of Andromedan contactee Alex Collier. If you're new here, you're in for a journey that expands your mind and consciousness, bringing you closer to understanding the messages from the fifth density Andromedan extraterrestrials. For those returning, we're grateful for your continued support. Before we dive into today's enlightening content, we have a small favor to ask. If you find value in the knowledge shared in this video, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing to our channel, and clicking the bell icon so you never miss an update. Your engagement helps us amplify Alex Collier's message, allowing us to reach a larger audience with these vital messages. We'd also love to hear from you, so please engage with the comments below. Whether it's a question, your thoughts, or even just an emoji for the sake of engagement, every comment counts. We read every single comment, and your feedback is incredibly valuable to us, as it all contributes to our mission of expanding this community. So please don't hesitate to leave your thoughts below. Additionally, if you'd like to support us further, consider giving a super thanks tip by clicking the heart with the $sign. This small gesture allows us to continue bringing you more of Alex's messages, unfiltered and directly from his lifelong experiences with the Andromedans. Today's video includes a compilation of several of the many important questions Alex Collier has received over the past few years, so please sit back, relax, and enjoy today's video.
Skinwalker Ranch, also known as Sherman Ranch, is a property of about Utah that is reputed to be the site of paranormal and UFO-related activities. Can you shed any light on what went on there in the past and what, if anything, is still hidden there today?
No, I do not know what happened in the past, but it's obvious that there is at least one or three or up to three craft there. It's also obvious that there is a very large underground there, whatever that is. Now, I understand that this property was managed and studied for 20 years prior to this, to what's going on there now. And I know the narrative is that, well, they couldn't figure it out. I don't buy that narrative. I think they know fully what's there. They've just decided to leave it alone, or they've come to terms with whatever it is. I find it fascinating. I do. I also find what's really fascinating with what's going on off the coast of Nova Scotia. The whole Oak Island thing. I understand the show. I understand that we know what people say, but the fact of the matter is, they're finding relics that go, back, 50, 100 BC on these islands. That completely destroys the whole Columbus thing. And, it only adds credibility to what a lot of people talk about in dark rooms. For example, the Perry Reese map. That map was put together by a Spanish admiral or a Portuguese admiral, I can't remember which. And on the notations of the original map, he makes reference to maps that he used that were given to him that belonged to Alexander the Great. And Alexander the Great was given those maps by a librarian at the Library of Alexandria. And it has maps of the entire coastlines of the world, including Antarctica without ice on it. That intrigues me. And that's why I pay attention to it. I know the history they taught us is bullshit. I've always known that since I was little. But I'm intrigued because I wonder, as they talk about these things, what people in other homes who are watching this, they're thinking. You know, I I'm always very curious to, you know, I try to imagine the light bulbs going off in other living rooms when people hear this information, and it's exciting to me because it opens up perception, and I get really excited when people open up perceptions, when they open up their perception, because it makes room for the things that I've talked about all these years, and what other people have talked about all these years. You know, one very, very good book that was written years ago was the book called Pole Shift by John White. Fascinating information is in that book about archaeological finds, just here, not just in the world, but you know, here in North America. Amazing stuff. There's so much history. There's so much to us that we don't know about. The Davenport calendar that was discovered in Davenport, Iowa, and they tried to pass it off as a fake. It's not a fake. They called it a fake because they couldn't explain it. And what it is a stone that was carved to celebrate an event that was happening in that part of what is now Davenport, Iowa. And it was Egyptians and Iberians that were moving across America, going somewhere, probably to the Grand Canyon. And I'll share that with you why in a minute. And it's written in 3 different languages. It talks about a festival of Osiris. They were celebrating a holiday for Osiris. They put the map constellation on this stone. It's written in 3 different languages, which are extinct now. And I believe it's somewhere around 200 BC. And, you know, this lines up with America BC that was written by Barry Fell of the archaeological finds here of Egyptian, Iberian, Phoenician, showing that they had been in the Americas, you know, thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. And this gives credence to the fact that where they were going and why the Grand Canyon is so important. There were artifacts, and there still are artifacts in the Grand Canyon, in an area where no one is allowed to go to. And it is believed by many that the original Book of the Dead, where it talked about the ancient lands of the West where the kings were buried, was America. Was America, what we now know as America. And that this canyon, this place that was the Valley of the Kings, was in fact the Grand Canyon. And they have spent a lot of time there, the Smithsonian, destroying or hiding records that were there. The giants, all kinds of things, you know. And so we haven't been given our true history either. But there is a whole lot more to the Grand Canyon than we've been told. And, you know, the Native Americans also talk about the ant people that were there that helped the Native Americans survive earth changes, and that they were underneath the Grand Canyon as well. Just like the ant people that JP talks about in Michael Sala's work in Florida, in canyons protecting giants, their bodies. And there's ant people all over the world, you know, that the indigenous people know of. So, you know, there's just this we have this underlying history that is just absolutely fascinating. And, you know, I tried to explain this once to one of my kids about the history, and he's like, "Dad, there's no future in history." And I'm just like, "You asshole." You know, I heard that joke years ago, you know, and he just threw it back at me. And you know, but history is extremely relevant. It is. So, anyway.
In 1996, at the ranch, you had the camera shut off before you talked about JFK. Have times changed enough that you can divulge now what you said then?
You know, isn't it interesting that Biden signed an executive order? I don't know if it's going to hold up, if it's a real executive order or not, but nonetheless, he signed an executive order locking down the last remaining information on the Kennedy assassination for the next 40 years, even though no one that was associated with it is even alive today. And the speculation is that the information they don't want us to know about was the government's actual involvement in the assassination itself, the governmental agencies. The president's motorcade was supposed to go straight down Main Street. When when his limousine left Love Field, on the way, the motorcade route was changed to make a turn on Elm and go down past the grassy knoll. And as it made the turn on Elm, his Secret Service detail was pulled off his car. Okay? Off President Kennedy's car. Who had the power to change the motorcade route and pull the Secret Service off his car? Who had the power to do that? And that's your answer. That's your answer to what I said back then. Next question, please.
Yeah, but how do we find that information out?
Yes, those agencies still exist. But you can figure it out. You can figure that out. Those are two separate pieces that worked in tandem to make sure that the president was not protected when he went into the kill zone.
It's a bit like the people who were told to stand off and stand down on a certain September evening.
Exactly. Exactly. Now,
might be the same people, mightn't it?
Hold on. I want to add another piece to this. I have also talked about President Eisenhower and Jack Kennedy having many, many different conversations. Alone, especially on a golf course. When Jack Kennedy came into office, one of the first things he did was eliminate the Special Operations Coordinating Group that was part of the National Security Council. This group was never elected. What they were responsible for was collecting the intelligence to present to the President of the United States. He disbanded this group. Lyndon Johnson's first act when he flew back to DC was to reinstate the Special Operations Coordinating Group. From that moment on, it became known as Special Group of the National Security Council. You pay attention to that. Who are these people? Who are they? Okay, who is it that classifies things above the president's ability to know. Who is the group that gives the executive branch plausible deniability? Who is it that had the ability to lock President Eisenhower out of the ET information so that 2 weeks after, well, the disclosure project, the first disclosure project, spells all that out. All right? Special group, Special Operations Coordinating Group. Who are they? They are the secret government. Why is it that Bill Clinton asked directly? He wanted to know about the ET information, and he was told. Bill Clinton did it. Jimmy Carter did it, and they were told that he did not have a classification high enough to know. Who is it that had the ability to do that? Now, everybody says NSA. How come after all these years we can't read the NSA's charter? Right? Why is it that we can't read the NSA's charter? What powers do they have? Okay, special group in the National Security Council. There's some homework for you. You know, I sure hope its time has come, because I sure do want to be here with you folks. But you know, that's a piece of the puzzle we all need to know. Okay? And I am sure, you know, President Trump had his own teams debriefing him, because he knew not to trust what he was going to get. And I'm sure that only pissed off everybody even more, because they couldn't control him. Well, he knew they're not to be trusted. He knew. But we still don't know who they are. All right, I'm talking past the close here.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying today's video. Want to stay up to date with all the latest news from Alex Collier? Don't miss out. Sign up for his free email newsletter at alexcollier.news and be the first to know about his live webinars, new revelations, and exclusive insights. It's quick and easy, and you'll never miss an important update. Just click the link in the description or head to alexcollier.news to sign up now. And now back to our regular scheduled content.
Please elaborate what you previously said regarding ego being an AI signal, and is it in the process of getting dismantled? You had mentioned, I believe, that those who had not made a divine connection would be really lost. Thank you very much, Kim.
Hey, Kim. There isn't any more that I can elaborate on at this time. Otherwise, I would have brought it up again, because it's a huge topic, a very important issue. The thing about AI is that it's very, very good at constructing artificial selves, because that's what it is. It's an artificial self. And social media has been its greatest tool in doing that. Yeah, it's been incredibly detrimental. It's been the most disingenuous thing we've ever run across. And that will all be that will all be disclosed. It will be. If we did not have the White Hats, if we did not have the Alliance, if we did not have Star Nation intervention, we would have lost our civilization already. You need to know that. We would have lost our civilization already. There was no way we could have done it by ourselves. It would have been over before we knew. And most wouldn't even have known. So, we will look back and go, phew, that was close. And it was close. It really was close. Okay, it was close. I am not a direct member of 17. I'm not. I do what I can to help. And that's all any of us can do. Always being cognizant of who they are and what they are. We all do what we can to help. Okay? You need to know it's absolutely real, though. You do. There is no question about it. But there's been a lot of attempts to infiltrate, to undermine by both off-world and on-world intelligences. Fifth dimensional chess, ladies and gentlemen, what it is. Game is real, the boards are many, the moves are extremely complicated. Profound amount of thought goes into each move. But you also need to be aware that there are really no more moves for the deep state or the cabal to make. All they can do is lash out and harm innocent people. That's all they have left, is to bring more pain. And sadly, they don't care. But this is close to over. It is. It's close to over. At this point in it, there is no failure point. There really isn't. But they're never going to telegraph what they're doing, because the stakes are everything. No, the stakes are everything. And men and women of the white hat groups around the world, men and women of the benevolent intelligence groups, the Alliance, Base Force of Solar Warden, they are to be acknowledged for their bravery and their tenacity, their resilience, and their knighthood. They truly act like knights, the knights of old. They have gone above and beyond the call of duty to protect humanity from evil that most people will not even be able to comprehend. It has led me to out loud ask Source, why would you create such a thing? Or even allow it to be created? And if I had gotten an answer, I would have told you by now. So I don't know. I just don't.
Hi, Alex and the A-Team. I just wanted to get your feedback about all the madness going on with all the information coming out at the moment. My intuition tells me that lots is being done to wake up the sleepers, but sometimes it does confuse the awakened, as you know. I try to tell people to not focus too much on it and follow intuition. Thank you and the team for all you do. Ian McLean.
Hi, Ian. I think you reached out to me with an email last night. This is why I say you stay in that calm space. Yeah, most of the information, if not all of it, that's coming out now is to wake up those who are still asleep. It isn't us. But everybody processes information differently, and you have to understand that you have high vibrational information, and then you have low vibration. So we're still seeing contrast. There's still some contrast, a lot of contrast. It's not as lethal as it used to be, but nonetheless, it's more informational contrast now. And you're right, people need to trust their intuition. They need to pay attention how they feel when they hear the information. And women are much better at this than men are. They just are. They just are. Most women come from their heart, and that's where their emotions and their feelings come from. Most men go to their head first and try to think it out logically, and they don't really pay attention to what their heart tells them up front. And it's all about balance. It's all about balance, and we'll get there. The men will get there, but we are definitely behind the ladies. We are. Besides this whole time, this whole frequency, this crossing the galactic plane and moving into the feminine, this is really all about the feminine principle now anyway. What we're going to do is we're going to find our role, even when we come into balance, as being support for the feminine principle. To be not only the support, but the guardian, the protector of the feminine principle. That was what our role was always meant to be. To be an equal partner, a caregiver, not to run ripshod over the feminine at all. It was never meant to be that way. A great trauma occurred to the feminine principle during the Catholic Inquisition. That is something that's is going to be discussed in a global way at some point in the future. Because, and there's a video of this, of a woman speaking about this. There was a time where in each village, the midwife was the doctor. She was the wise woman, the shaman, and she would teach other women how to heal using herbs and things like that. They would deliver the babies. They would do counseling. It was always the midwives. And then the Catholic Church decided that they were a threat to the church. So over a period of years, the Inquisition, 9 million women were put to death. And that changed everything. That completely threw the balance out. Completely threw the balance. And we've never recovered. Humanity has not recovered from that. And that's definitely a conversation we're all going to have at some point. And that's a sin we should never forgive. Or we, I don't know. It never's forever. And so I don't know, but that certainly is something that has to be discussed and talked about. Because that's something that can never, ever, ever happen again. It just can't. Cannot be allowed to. And had we as men totally been in our role, that would not have happened. Now, there were men that defended their women, but, they were Roman soldiers. They were the priesthood. They were just dark to do what they did. All in Christ's name. And there's no way that is something that Jesus ever would have gone for. There's no way. Not being married himself and having his own family, that never would have flown. So it was just a very, very dark time, but humanity hasn't recovered from that.
Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you found it insightful, please like the video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon so you don't miss out on future updates. If you have any questions relating to today's video, please also leave them below. We read all the comments and take on board what our viewers have to say about Alex Collier's work. Remember, your support helps Alex Collier's knowledge and the messages from the Andromedans reach more people. If you'd like to support the channel even more, you can give us a super thanks tip by clicking the heart icon with a $sign. It really helps our team bring you more content. Also, be sure to visit alexcollier.org to sign up for our regular email newsletter. It's the best way to stay updated with the latest news, exclusive content, and upcoming live webinars. For the latest insights from Alex Collier, check out alexcollier.live. And if you want to explore over 250 past webinars, head over to alexcollier.tv. Thank you for being a part of this journey and supporting Alex Collier's work. We couldn't do this without you, and we're genuinely grateful for your support. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the vast mysteries of our universe. If you would like to see the Andromedan contactee Alex Collier live via video stream, we hold a live online seminar every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. For more information on upcoming live webinars, please visit alexcollier.org.